working in a big city as an embalmer, I would have to go to nursing homes quite often. One occasion that sticks out most was my shift partner and I went down to a particular nursing home that was on the lower end in price. Most of the residents were Mexican, and I remember picking up a little old lady who had passed on. Nothing out of the normal yet, but her roommate was a different story. She had icons, candles, and idols of the Santa Muerte, which is Holy Death, all on her side of the small room that they shared. I remember her reciting short prayers while we wrapped the roommate in a sheet to move her out on our cot. When my partner and I walked back out to the hallway to leave, a nurse was standing completely still, down a ways, staring at us. When we noticed she was necessarily looking at us, but was behind us, we both looked over our shoulders. At the end of this hall was a dining area, and what I can only describe as a dark, smoky, static-like figure was sitting down at one of the tables. It was early in the morning, like 3 or 4 a.m. No one was usually in there. The three of us just watched the figure for what looked like 2 to 3 minutes until it disappeared slowly. Needless to say, my partner and I hightailed it out of there while the nurse called security. I was a superstitious one out of us both, so once we got back in our van, I pulled out my icon of Saint Michael and started reciting prayers while my partner laughed and talked about how crazy the whole thing was. This was the freakiest night ever in my career. I'm a night shift nursing supervisor for a 160-bed facility. All kinds of things happen. It comes in waves usually, and for the most part, it's the lights coming on, doors closing, lights turning off, on an occasional piece of furniture may be moved a bit. Worse was when we were getting phone calls with no one responding from our maintenance department. Just light static on the other end. I'm a dude, and all the girls I work with know I'm afraid of the dark, and an overall a sissy. His words, not mine. So I made them go with me to the maintenance to see what the F we were getting calls at all night. No maintenance crew at night. We go through the back door corridor toward the maintenance room. I'm the only one with a key at night, and I have to check our poo grinder every night to make sure it's working and we don't flood our first floor. So that's the first thing I do every night. While there's more people on shift and it's still daylight. Also, I work from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So there's me and a nurse and 2 CNAs headed towards maintenance. I always leave the light on because I'm scared of the dark. And now it's 4 a.m. and we see shadows moving under the door. Seriously, peed a little. I told one girl to call the PD because logically we had an intruder. We waited outside the door, watching the shadows move back and forth until PD arrived, maybe a few minutes. And when they unlocked the door, there was absolutely no effing person there. No one. Now, even at 6, when I do my poo grinder check, I always have my company. When I was going to school, I worked at a local hospital. Not a nursing home, I know, but it was a swing bed unit, so the continuity of patients is about the same. Anyway, we had a patient who was rather young, recovering from an infection after having an artificial heart valve placed. He was on some very strong antibiotics, and the stuff smelled awful. Anyway, the day before his discharge to go home, I was saying my goodbyes because I wouldn't be there the next day. He told me he wasn't going home. I kind of laughed, like, okay, but your paperwork says you are. He just smiled and thanked me for being nice. 2 days later, I came back to work, only to find out he had coded later that night and never made it home. I remember walking into his room. It had been deep cleaned, the bed made, it was ready for a new admit, but I could still smell his awful antibiotics. It was almost like it was stronger. It was nauseating. I remember walking into the attached bathroom to splash some water on my face and look in the mirror to make sure my eyeliner wasn't running down my cheeks. And my reflection was smiling at me. I wasn't smiling. I was nauseated and now confused. I just remember blinking and my reflection didn't. I ran into the hall, puked, and went home because nope. Now before everyone thinks I'm crazy, other staff members, even after they had the room repainted, could smell this man's antibiotics. It was almost like the room was cursed after that. Every person that was admitted into that room coded and had to either be transferred to the ICU or pass away. The smell was always there. This went on for months. Then one day, the smell was just gone, and life went back to normal. To this day, if the physician I work with now is running at that hospital, I avoid that room at all costs. It's been over 10 years.